The anime starts with a girl in a pretty dress getting out of a carriage in a beautiful city. She's heading to the Royal Academy. But she spots an old lady who seems sick, so she stops to help her. She brings the old lady to her house and heals her with special powers. The lady's daughter thanks her, but the pink-haired girl apologizes for taking a lot of time since she is only at level 1. Suddenly, the daughter notices that she's one of the students at the Royal Academy, and informs her that the academy gates close at 6 p.m. The girl quickly rushes to the academy gates, but as she reaches the gate, a blue-haired boy slowly closes the gates and she can't get in. The blue-haired boy asks for her name and class, and she introduces herself as Alicia, a first-year student. He then continues to tell her about the strict rules and suggests she spends the night somewhere and enter the next day. Alicia then explains she doesn't have much money, and the boy recognizes her as the gifted commoner who's been given a full scholarship to the Royal Academy. Suddenly he hints about a way to sneak in through the eastern wall where students who usually break curfew go through. Alicia is grateful for the information and asks for his name. He then introduces himself as Oswald Grimmard, surprising Alicia as his dad is a minister. She then quickly thanks him and leaves. As she gets to the eastern side of the academy, she meets a boy also trying to jump the wall. He introduces himself as William Harris, also a first-year student. He explains that he was sent to buy drinks for a celebration and offers to help Alicia climb the wall as well. He then tells Alicia to follow him as he leads her to the dormitory through the rooftop. As they talk, William stumbles, and they both fall onto the students below. To her surprise, she lands on a boy named Edwin and quickly apologizes to the boy. Suddenly the boy reveals that he's the second prince of a kingdom, which shocked Alicia even further as the academy is full of noble children. The scene then switches to the director scolding them for causing trouble. And the director reminds her that she is the only commoner with a full scholarship due to her being strangely proficient in light magic, and the director warns her to be careful with how she acts going into the future. They are then let off with some extra chores for a week. After they leave, the director talks to himself, hoping that Alicia is strong enough to save them from the great demon king, as she is their only hope. Back in Alicia's room, she feels sad for failing on her first day. Suddenly, there's a commotion outside. The guards are looking for an intruder, and Alicia hears a noise outside her window. She grabs a mop and hits the intruder, who turns out to be Edwin. He was investigating something and got caught. He promises to tell her more later. The scene changes as Edwin, still in Alicia's room, tells her he can't go out now or he'll be caught. He asks her to let him hide in her room for a while. Shocked, Alicia agrees, and in the darkness, they sit in silence. Edwin breaks the silence, apologizing for what happened. He acknowledges that a gentleman like him shouldn't invade a lady's room but had no choice. Alicia says it's okay, feeling like she's in a dream, never having spoken to a royal before. Edwin shares that he's just like her, always surrounded by royals and nobles, and this is the first time he's talking with someone from the common folk. He then asks her about common women, wondering if they are as violent as her. Annoyed, Alicia tells him she hit him because she thought he was a thief, a natural reaction. Edwin laughs, saying he was just joking, and he doesn't want her to hit him again. Alicia laughs too, and Edwin asks her not to tell anyone about what happened tonight. She reassures him that she won't say anything, and Edwin thanks her before leaving the room as the place is now safe. Before leaving, Edwin tells Alicia he wants to see her at the entrance ceremony tomorrow and wishes her a good night. The next day, during the entrance ceremony, Alicia, along with other new students, lines up in front of the director. She sees signals from both Will and Edwin. Alicia keeps looking at Edwin until she accidentally bumps into a girl in front of her. The girl asks if Alicia has a problem, surprising Alicia as she knows her name. The girl mentions knowing Alicia from somewhere and asks if she is sick. Alicia responds that she is fine, and the girl goes to sit in her place as the ceremony is about to begin. Suddenly, the scene shifts to Edwin, Will, Oswald and Alicia engaged in a fight with Yumi, the girl with black hair. They ask her to stop the fight, warning that her demonic luck is about to run out, but she doesn't listen. She prepares her spears, and in the intense battle, a terrifying aura emanates from Yumi as she strikes with her spears. Will manages to deflect the attacks with his sword. Oswald, using his powerful magic, counters a significant portion of her strikes. Edwin also does the same to fend off Yumi's attacks. Together, they successfully stand against the evil girl. Alicia then uses her special holy light magic, ultimately defeating the malevolent character. Elated by their victory, Prince Edwin expresses his gratitude to Alicia and hugs her. Meanwhile, Yumi, the defeated girl, suddenly awakens and reveals that all of this was a game called The Light and Hero. The game is based in a world of swords and magic, where our heroine enrolls at the Royal Academy, forming bonds and growing stronger throughout her journey. Eventually, she defeats the Demon King, but a hidden boss, a first-year student named Yumiella Dolkness, emerges after what seemed to be the ending. The scene then shifts to Yumi narrating her own story where at the age of 15 as she heads to the Royal Academy in the capital. It all started when she regained her memories from her past life at the age of 5. She recalls being reborn in a world of light and heroism after being hit by our one and only Truck-kun in her previous life. There Yumi faces discrimination due to her black hair, as black hair is considered an omen of evil. Yumi aspires to surpass level 70, trying to reach the maximum level to try and surpass the previous secret boss. There she questions the meaning of her existence, while possessing unique abilities like dark magic typically reserved for antagonist characters. She contemplates her strength, wondering if her presence holds any purpose in the story of Light and Hero. Rather than engaging in romantic aspects of the game or forming deep connections with characters, Yumi chooses to live a quiet school life, avoiding relationships with Alicia and the main characters. In her third year of high school, Yumi plans to strengthen herself as much as possible, preparing for the risen Demon King's defeat by Alicia and the boys. The narrative then shifts to a young Yumi encountering a slime monster, where she uses her dark magical powers to defeat it and collect a magic stone. There she trains daily, in order to grind levels as much as possible whilst earning money by collecting magic stones from monsters, buying tools, and boosting her level with a growth necklace. One day, Yumi enters a dungeon confidently in order to speed up her leveling by battling stronger monsters. She then acquires a summoner's flute in order to summon all the monsters, and does this on a daily basis. Back to the present, where she descends from a carriage in front of the school, Yumi is amazed to see the building exactly like in the game. After arriving in her room, she reads a message from her father, which urges her to attend the Royal Academy and get acquainted with noble children, and secure a husband in order to get their inheritance. In the next scene, Yumi overhears the school employee announcing the main gate's closure at 6 p.m., complying with the rules. As she observes Alicia and Oswald, she notes that everything is unfolding like in the game of Light and Hero. She then tries to avoid getting involved with the 4 individuals for a peaceful life. The entrance ceremony is about to begin, where they are all going to undergo level evaluation in front of the whole academy. The evaluation starts with Alicia where she is revealed to be level 1, just like she stated. Next William was revealed to be at level 10, which surprises everyone. This worries Yumi, who is hoping for level 5 in order to stay low-key. But when Yumi's turn comes, as she places her hand on the crystal ball, her level is evaluated at level 99, which astonishes the whole academy. No one has ever encountered such a high level before, and Yumi herself is unaware of her extraordinary strength. Tension fills the air as the director requests her assistant to bring a backup magical tool to verify the measurement. Despite trying another magical tool, Yumi's level remains at an astonishing 99. Perplexed, the assistant teacher questions if Yumi is aware of her elevated level. The assistant teacher informs the director that the reading is accurate, and there is no error in the magical device. Suspecting foul play, the director accuses Yumi of manipulating the tool. Yumi denies any wrongdoing, insisting her level is genuinely 99, attributing it to her ability to increase strength by defeating monsters. The director becomes furious, urging her to tell the truth, but Yumi remains silent, leaving everyone in disbelief about her monster-killing capabilities. To calm the situation, the director advises the students to wait until the lessons begin to know the truth. Yumi is then instructed to greet her friends and return to her seat. As she greets her classmates, they address her as a cheater. Feeling the weight of their judgment, Yumi contemplates escaping to be alone. After the assessment concludes, all the students head to the open dinner ceremony as part of the initiation. Yumi looks around for someone to accompany her but finds no familiar faces. Aware that nobody would willingly linger with her, she decides to leave early to avoid drawing attention. However, as she starts to leave, Will questions her about the trick she used during the initiation ceremony. Annoyed that his efforts were overdarked by her levels, Will blames Yumi, claiming that she desires to stand out and asking where her pride is as a noble child. Edwin intervenes at this point, asking Will to calm down. Understanding his sentiments, Yumi welcomes Edwin and introduces herself, revealing her identity as the daughter of Count Darkness. Edwin emphasizes that Will worked harder than anyone else in sword training, reaching level 10 before entering school. Irritated by the assumption of cheating, Yumi confidently asserts that her level is indeed 99, as confirmed by the assessment. Oswald interjects, stating that a level 99 is unrealistic. Yumi contemplates to herself that all the characters in this school are all deceitful. Suddenly Edwin challenges her to demonstrate her level 99 magic. Yumi refuses, fearing it would cause a bigger commotion. She evades them and points to another girl with pink hair facing similar challenges. The boy with blue hair dismisses her as a foolish girl, and informs her that they will see the truth once classes begin, leaving the scene. Later, the scene transitions to Yumi returning home, explaining to the maid Rita that she's exhausted and hasn't found anyone to befriend at the event. Rita, sent by her father to take care of her, cares deeply for Yumi's emotional state. Yumi learns about the second Prince Edwin and contemplates how he might view her negatively after discovering her level 99. Changing the subject, Yumi asks Rita about the meaning of Edwin's words. Rita is surprised by what Edwin had said, which made Yumi ask about the difference between central nobles and regional nobles. Rita explains that regional nobles have no specific positions in the capital, and Rita informs her that those aiming for centrality refer to regional nobles who spend all their time in the capital without holding any official positions, referring to Yumi's father. The next morning, as classes begin and the halls fill with students, Yumi is seen isolated, talking to herself about how isolation suits her, preventing anyone from getting close and discovering her true abilities. In the background, people talk about her, mentioning the girl with black hair claiming to be level 99 and suggesting she might have a mental problem. Yumi overhears the gossip, wondering if they want her to prove her level. In these moments, Alicia enters along with Prince Edwin and others, reminiscing about Alicia's first day at the academy when she caused some trouble by arriving late. Yumi watches from a distance, remembering that they aren't supposed to be this close yet. She worries that her actions yesterday might have altered the main story, causing a different outcome. Classes then start, and after 3 hours, everyone heads to the garden for their first practical swordsmanship lesson. They are then given wooden swords that are used for training to avoid any serious injuries. The teacher announces that they will take turns in battling each other to assess their skills, and William informs Yumi that he will be her opponent. William eagerly anticipates the fight with Yumi, who contemplates how to handle the situation considering her magical and physical strength. As the teacher instructs them to take their positions, William is ready to engage in combat, and Yumi apologizes to him, stating it's her first time using a sword. However, William is adamant, and warns her not to mock him. The teacher commands them to start, and as they clash, Yumi manages to dodge William's attack, referring to him as slow, and she manages to knock him to the ground due to William tripping over himself. The students are astonished, and Yumi asks if they're done. The teacher quickly declares Yumi as the winner. But William is frustrated, and challenges her again. This time she blocks his attack and flings him to the ground once more, causing the students to recoil in fear. The teacher tells Yumi to leave as he will take William to the healer. Yumi wishes William no harm, even thinking that if Alicia were present, she could heal him with light magic. The next scene takes place in the practical magic class where Yumi has joined another group. The teacher announces that they will showcase their magical abilities by targeting a statue, and students display various elemental powers. Meanwhile, Yumi contemplates her limited proficiency in the basic 4 elements. Ever since she was small, she has always focused solely on muscles and dark magic. Next, it was Oswald's turn to showcase his magic, and he effortlessly hits the target with his mastery of the 4 basic elements, impressing everyone, including the teacher, who expected no less. The teacher then turns to Yumi, and Yumi asks whether she could break the armor stand. They then explain that the armor is specially crafted to withstand even the strongest magic, and only mages as strong as the palace mages are capable of destroying the armor stands. The teacher then challenges her to break the stand. Confident in her strength and muscle and dark magic, Yumi agrees to the challenge. Unleashing her power and dark magic, wanting to hold back, she chose the weakest spell she got. But upon impact with the sturdy armor, it starts dissolving instantly. The onlookers are shocked by the intensity of her power. The darkness appears like fire but isn't hot at all, melting stone and metal effortlessly. The spectators are astounded by her incredible strength, and Yumi explains that it's the magic of darkness, admitting her inability to use other elemental features. The teacher then clarifies that dark magic isn't inherently evil, recounting a history where there were a few palace mages that were able to use dark magic. The students are left in awe, unable to comprehend the magnitude of this formidable power. Oswald, still in disbelief, refuses to accept that someone surpassed his magical prowess and storms off in anger. Suddenly, Edwin approaches Yumi and hands her a completed expulsion document, and informs her that her expulsion was set in stone. He explains that she is not qualified to attend the Royal Academy, emphasizing that anyone lying about their proficiency is unfit for the academy, let alone nobility in the kingdom. Yumi nonchalantly responds that it might not be a bad idea to move to another country. But unexpectedly, the teacher intervenes, asking the headmaster to wait and believing Yumi is a rare and valuable user of dark magic. She highlights Yumi's ability to destroy a challenging target that even palace magic would struggle with, possibly being genuinely at level 99. The headmaster then tells Yumi to prove her powers in order to avoid being expelled. He challenges her to convince him. Yumi realizes they genuinely want to expel her, but the teacher begs her, asking her to showcase her full magical strength. Feeling pressured, Yumi decides to demonstrate her full power. But before doing so, she asks if she was allowed to use magic. And Prince Edwin allows her, saying that he'll bear responsibility for any consequences. Edwin assures her that a little magic in the sky won't cause harm. Yumi proceeds to unleash the powerful dark magic, the same one the Demon King uses in battles. She activates a black hole, covering the sky, causing the earth to tremble and creating intense winds that nobody can endure. The area transforms into a vacuum, sucking in everything around with tremendous force. Just before any catastrophe occurs, Yumi cancels the spell. Everyone is astonished by this terrifying display of power. Yumi then turns to Prince Edwin and asks for his opinion, questioning if he's now convinced that she is indeed at level 99. Edwin, speechless and overwhelmed by the terrifying power he just witnessed, is unable to respond. Yumi stands in the royal palace in front of His Majesty the King, surrounded by people discussing the recent incident. In disbelief that she is at level 99, and had just summoned a black hole. Yumi then approaches the king, and he informs her that he is aware of what happened at the academy. It seems that his son and the teachers behaved improperly towards her, and he apologizes for their actions. The people are astonished by the king's apology to Yumi. She then tells the king that she indeed acted recklessly, and caused significant problems for everyone. The king acknowledges that the judgment against her was based on one-sided assumptions and lacked a proper evaluation of her abilities. And he believes it was unfair. He then told the captain of the knights, Adolf, to decide on her legitimacy. This person is revealed to be the strongest knight in the kingdom with a level of 60. Considering that a level of 60 or 70 is required to face the Demon King in the game, it's evident he is indeed a strong person. As he attacks Yumi with all of his strength, Yumi contemplates whether a counterattack would be the right decision since the king did not specify whether she should attack or dodge. Very surprisingly, Yumi decides to evade Adolf's attack by bowing down, which leaves both the king and Adolf speechless. Adolf explains that no knight has ever been able to dodge his attacks, believing Yumi's level to be genuinely 99. The king then requests her to show him her magic, and Yumi demonstrates her dark magic. The king then asks the head magician for his opinion, and he states that dark magic, like the 4 natural elements, has its strengths and weaknesses. He adds that similar to light magic, the magic itself holds neither good nor evil more than any other magic, leaving its use to the user's discretion. The king informs Yumi that people fear things they do not understand, and perhaps her black hair is viewed as a bad omen for the same reason. This left Yumi puzzled, and she wonders if the king is saying all of this for her benefit. When the king then reveals that she has truly reached heights that no one in this world has ever achieved. He asks how she attained such a level, and Yumi explains that she initially gained levels by hunting monsters in her area. She delved into dungeons alone, and played the summoner flute to summon monsters, and killed every single one of them. Everyone in the royal palace is astonished that she did all this without any protection and on her own. Quickly turning to the knight commander Adolf, asking if he can replicate what Yumi did. Adolf admits that if he entered a dungeon alone, he would be very afraid and that he would never switch out his protection talisman. At this moment, the king addresses Yumi, expressing his desire for her to use her strength to protect the kingdom. He believes she has immense capabilities and can even fight the Demon King. Yumi agrees, stating her intention to be the shield for the kingdom and promising to risk her life to protect the city. The king is overjoyed and wants to reward her for her achievements. He urges Yumi to ask for anything she desires, even being ready to welcome her into the royal family as if she were one of them. It seems like an extremely generous offer, but she suspects that he merely wants to find a way to bind her to the kingdom. Yumi thinks about it extensively and then responds to the king, stating that all she wants is to live in peace and safely within the kingdom. However, in her internal monologue, Yumi decides that if anything suspicious happens in the kingdom, she will consider escaping to another country. Later that day, Yumi is indeed invited to the queen's chamber, where she finds herself with the queen. The queen thanks her for coming and assures her that there's no need for formality, so she can relax and behave as she pleases. The queen then tells Yumi that she has something to discuss but prefers to keep it private, and she explains that many nobles hide their greed to get close to the royal family. But Yumi is different, as the queen can naturally distinguish between those people. She then intervenes, revealing information that only the royal family and a few important nobles know. She discloses that the Demon King will return in 2 years and will be stronger than before, and explains that they are devising a plan to defeat the Demon King with a small elite force centered around Edwin. The royal family is committed to defeating the Demon King at any cost. After deep consideration and understanding the gravity of the situation, Yumi expresses her willingness to help in defeating the Demon King, as she had been planning to confront the Demon King herself. But the Queen emphasizes that if Yumi were to defeat the Demon King, it could raise doubts about the legitimacy of the royal family. So she proposes to Yumi to marry into the royal family to solve this problem. In response to the Queen's proposal for her to marry Prince Edwin, Yumi instinctively rejects the idea. She apologizes for her automatic response, explaining that she needs time to consider such a significant decision. The Queen acknowledges Yumi's response, however addresses her concern regarding potential pressure from her father to marry into the Hilrose family, which would be a problem for their current plan. The Queen then reassures Yumi that she will issue a royal order to prevent such a marriage, although it would only buy her 3 years at best. Returning home, Yumi discusses her meeting with the King and Queen with her maid, Rita. Despite her father's proposals for potential partners from respectable noble families, Yumi remains composed and focuses on simpler pleasures, such as enjoying tea and pastries. Meanwhile, the King and Queen discuss Yumi's remarkable abilities. They assume that her detachment from her parents, and discrimination because of her black hair, led her into achieving level 99 at the age of 15. As Yumi's presence garners attention and interest from noble children, she navigates through various proposals and alliances cautiously, preferring to avoid political entanglements and aligning herself with those who support the king's faction, which also led to many nobles from the opposite factions suggesting that she marry them. One young man arrogantly suggests that Yumi should marry him due to his superiority, prompting Yumi to question his leadership abilities. She then warns him of potential rebellion consequences, and cautions him about associating with her, hinting that it could raise suspicions and endanger him. Frightened, the boy quickly retreats, leaving Yumi to reflect on the encounter. Later, Yumi unexpectedly encounters Eleonora, the daughter of Duke Hilrose, known for her tyrannical control over the girls at the academy. Eleonora expresses delight at finding Yumi and invites her for tea, discussing trivial topics like perfume, which Yumi finds uninteresting. Yumi wonders why she's been brought here for such pointless conversation. Eventually, Eleonora gets to the point and demands that Yumi give up on Prince Edwin. Confused, Yumi clarifies that she hasn't been involved with Prince Edwin, and it's actually Alicia who spends time with him. This revelation surprises Eleonora, who accuses Yumi of lying, claiming Yumi expressed a desire to marry Prince Edwin to the Queen. Yumi firmly denies this, pointing out the lack of any announcement to support Eleonora's claim. Realizing her mistake, Eleonora apologizes and offers friendship if Yumi agrees to stay away from Prince Edwin. During another scene, Yumi is approached by friends, including Alicia, who initiates a conversation. Suddenly, Alicia asks Yumi if she is the Demon King, catching Yumi off guard. Yumi is really surprised, and so is everyone else. She wonders how Alicia knows about the Demon King's return. And Alicia says Prince Edwin told her it's going to happen in 2 years. Yumi is shocked because she only met the prince a week ago. She asks whether the prince spilled the beans to her, and she clarifies that he mentioned the Demon King, but not Yumi being the Demon King herself. Suddenly, Prince Edwin and his friends show up, mad at Yumi. They demand an explanation for what happened with Alicia. And Yumi tells them that Alicia thought that she might be the Demon King, so she simply responded to her questions. Yumi realizes the secret about the Demon King's return must stay hidden. But Prince Edwin reassures everyone that the Demon King will return in 2 years. William gets mad and asks if Yumi will do bad things to them, and Yumi challenges him to defeat her. She then asks Oswald if he thinks she's the Demon King, and Oswald tells her that her powers make her suspicious. Yumi admits she's strong but tells them they need to become stronger if they want to defeat her. She wants to teach them how to level up, suggesting they defeat monsters solo, use growth talismans, and target offense-based monsters. She advises Alicia to level up in dark dungeons to speed up enhancing her abilities. Yumi finishes giving her advice, but everyone is shocked. And Edwin gets angry, accusing Yumi of trying to harm them. Yumi reassures them and offers to team up if they're scared, but Edwin says they don't need her help and will get stronger on their own. They all leave Yumi behind, and Yumi feels they didn't understand her words, while wondering why Alicia is so focused on her. At the academy, Yumi notices Alicia playing with a cat. And after Alicia left, she went to play with the cat as well. As she neared the cat was startled, noting that animals fear her since her reincarnation. She realizes that a classmate saw her, and she tries to convince him that he just saw nothing. The boy agreed and Yumi walked away. Later, Yumi eavesdropped on Alicia and Edwin studying together. Suddenly, Alicia shows Edwin a drawing resembling Yumi and explains her suspicions about Yumi being the Demon King, stating that she can see something the others can't. Edwin clarifies that even though Yumi is strong and uses dark magic, it doesn't mean she's the Demon King. He mentions his father also wants Yumi to join the fight against the Demon King. Yumi visits the principal, Ronald, who greets her warmly. She asks about the previous principal, but Ronald assures her there's no need to worry about him. Yumi senses that Ronald knows about the Demon King's return, indicating the king trusts him. Ronald also comments on Edwin's recent behavior, surprised he revealed the state's secret. He assures Yumi that she can relax and suggests she forget about it. Yumi, still puzzled by the principal's knowledge, asks about the royal family's information on the Demon King. The principal admits he doesn't know much, which troubles Yumi. He then asks her for a favor, to help with the administrative side during upcoming field lessons to increase the students' levels. These lessons involve students hunting monsters to improve their levels, but since Yumi is already level 99, Yumi doesn't need to participate. The supervisor explains that field lessons are divided between central and regional nobles, with Yumi responsible for the regional ones, who usually face more monsters in their areas. Yumi learns that Prince Edwin and his friends will have a separate lesson to reach level 40 before graduation, but she hopes they can aim for level 60. Their principal denies this and mentions that Captain Adolf himself is at level 60. He doubts that it would be possible to reach in 2 years. In the field with the regional nobles, Yumi believes the current approach is ineffective, wasting energy on low-level monsters. Patrick Ashbatten, whom she saw before with the cat, agrees and suggests dividing into vanguard and rearguard teams for better efficiency. Yumi asks if they should split up, and Patrick explains their roles. Despite Patrick's concerns, Yumi summons monsters with her flute, and the students quickly implement Patrick's plan to handle them efficiently. The students execute the plan with the vanguard holding off the monsters while the rear guard uses magical spells and arrows to strike them down. They manage to eliminate the monsters one by one, but suddenly, a monster lunges at one of the students in the vanguard, almost hitting them. Patrick swiftly comes to the rescue, eliminating the monster and ensuring the safety of the student. He instructs the remaining students not to panic, reassures them, and prepares to face the remaining monsters. The students, exhausted and unable to move, successfully defeat all the monsters one by one until none are left, leaving all the students completely drained. Patrick then approaches Yumi and questions why she summoned the monsters without prior warning. Yumi is surprised, thinking that he is angry because the rear guard exhausted themselves, affecting the vanguard's ability to level up. In her mind, she assures him that she will stabilize the monsters next time. Suddenly, Yumi starts playing the flute again, and Patrick fails in stopping her. The students panic and express deep fear, thinking they are truly going to die this time. Yumi reassures them, telling them not to worry as she will freeze the monsters in place while the vanguard takes their time killing them. She proceeds to use dark magic, weakening the monsters, ensuring their safety. Yumi explains that the dark binding restricts their movements completely. She instructs the vanguards to go ahead and attack the immobilized monsters, assuring them that they will be fine. Patrick starts attacking one of the bound monsters to confirm the effectiveness of the restraint. He finds that Yumi's method is indeed secure. Yumi then approaches Patrick and praises his impressive leadership skills, mentioning his participation in battles before enrolling in the academy. Patrick assures her that he believes she didn't mean any harm. Suddenly, another monster emerges and lunges at them. Patrick tries to defeat it but gets slightly injured. Yumi then takes action, striking the monster with her hand and swiftly eliminating it. She then uses dark magic on Patrick and informs him that dark magic can also heal. However, there is a drawback: it has an extremely frightening appearance. Feeling no pain, Patrick moves his arm and finds it completely healed. And he thanks Yumi for her assistance. Yumi then questions Patrick about why he jumped in front of her when the monster approached. Patrick explains that he thought she might be in danger. Yumi is surprised at the fact that Patrick still tried to protect her, even when he's aware of her level. He then advises her to take better care of herself, emphasizing the urgency of acting immediately if something happens. Yumi is left pondering Patrick's genuine concern for her safety, as she expresses a mix of embarrassment and gratitude for his care. Patrick warns her about using the flute to summon monsters and advises her to be cautious next time. Expectedly, Yumi decides to use the flute again, causing panic among the students. She then uses dark binding on the monsters repeatedly, intending to make them stronger as they are noble children and should be exceptionally powerful. Yumi is called by the principal, who had cautioned her against employing the summoning flute for monsters. Later, the principal expresses surprise at the healing properties of dark magic, learning from Yumi about its potential to regenerate limbs. Yumi recounted a childhood incident where she lost her arm, where she was capable of regrowing it entirely. During their conversation, Yumi inquired about the progress of the nobles' lessons. The principal mentioned Prince Edwin and his friends' successful reports, detailing their strategy in combat. However, Yumi expressed concern that their personal involvement in killing monsters hindered other students' ability to level up. When discussing Alicia, the principal noted her lack of monster kills and speculated on the trio's actions being motivated by their affection for her. He suggested Alicia needed to become stronger, implying Yumi to assist her. Excitedly, Yumi offered her help, prompting the principal to send her to a dark dungeon where Alicia might excel, to which he denied. The principal then disclosed a request from the castle's magical tools development team to test Yumi's endurance, presenting a piece of armor for her to bend. Yumi effortlessly bent it, surprising the principal with her strength. Later, Yumi encountered her friend Patrick, who scolded her for using the monster summoning flute. Patrick was admired by classmates, evident as they urged him to lead the next field lesson. As Patrick departed for class, Yumi realized the extent of everyone's trust in him. The story shifted to the field training ground, where Yumi noted her secluded life had slightly changed since the field lesson. Patrick occasionally approached her for conversation, signifying a shift in their dynamic. The teacher then announced practical lessons, prompting students to form pairs. Initially, Yumi stood alone, but Patrick approached, suggesting they partner up. Yumi hesitated, noting Patrick's popularity, but he assured her they should pair up as he owed her. Yumi questioned if it was because she had treated him before, but Patrick joked about the time she accidentally injured him, causing Yumi embarrassment. But when Patrick leaped to strike, Yumi accidentally injured his left arm with a powerful blow. Concerned classmates then rushed to check on Patrick, while Yumi apologized and treated his injury. Despite Yumi telling him that she had learned some things from him, Patrick didn't think he was worthy of being Yumi's sparring partner. She then mentioned the Demon King as her driving force, surprising Patrick with rumors of his return. Yumi admitted she lied about not hearing anything, recalling secret conversations with the king. She then mentioned Prince Edwin flirting all over the academy, reflecting on his dwindling popularity due to his flirtatious behavior. Yumi then turned to Patrick, asking if he believed rumors of her being the Demon Lord. Patrick cleverly responded, saying that the world would have already ended if she was and dismissed the rumors. Patrick was furious that people speculated that she was the Demon Lord, due to her hair color. Patrick then confessed his childhood insecurities about her hair color. But Yumi admired Patrick's silver hair. Patrick then reassured her, admiring her strength and kindness, regardless of her hair color. They shared a moment of appreciation for each other's qualities. They then decided to engage in another duel. But when Patrick struck her with the sword, Yumi retaliated with a strong blow, sending him flying again, shocking everyone. Yumi quickly ran to apologize to him. And after treating his injuries, Patrick reassured her that he was fine, and they stood together. Patrick complimented her, stating that she was amazing and used her abilities with great confidence. That night, Yumi reflected on her friendship with Patrick, remembering his caring words. She contemplated the adventures and wars that awaited them in this world full of new friends. Just a few days later, they participated in their second field lesson, with Yumi and Patrick in a distant area. Patrick expressed confidence that she already knew not to use the flute's power to summon monsters again. Yumi also assured him that she wouldn't, as the principal had scolded her for that too. As all the students gathered around the lake, the teacher informed them that they would face different types of monsters this time. Feeling extremely bored, Yumi summoned a friendly monster to play with to pass the time. She observed the students achieving good results, but the atmosphere seemed much more relaxed than the previous encounter with monsters. Yumi then noticed a student with a minor injury and quickly rushed to treat him. The teacher reassured her that it was a very minor wound and there was no need for her intervention. Expressing her extreme boredom, Yumi insisted that she had nothing else to do and offered her magical healing. She quickly used her magical abilities to heal the student, which they found really horrifying. Despite that, the students thanked her, and the teacher granted them a short break. Yumi reflected to herself that the lax atmosphere would just hinder their leveling capabilities. And she believes that when someone here tries to improve, they need to be constantly on the edge of danger. She attempted to use the power of the flute, but Patrick quickly intervened, reminding her that they warned her about it before and that it was too dangerous. Yumi argued that the current situation was more too relaxed, and she is sure that all these students are skilled enough to handle it. So she suggested increasing the difficulty of the lesson to match their abilities. Patrick agreed with her logic, and Yumi proposed to send each student to a dungeon alone. Patrick denied, stating that going into dungeons alone is quite dangerous. Yumi insisted that the current approach was ineffective, making them kill low-level monsters in a time-wasting manner. Yumi asserted that everyone should take things more seriously. She suggested that she use her magic on everyone to increase their focus by giving them injuries. And Patrick was surprised by Yumi's words, but she reassured him that their knowledge of pain caused by injuries should enhance their concentration. Yumi confidently claimed that she could cause them pain without killing them, presenting the students with a choice between using the flute or experiencing injury. The students unanimously chose the flute. Yumi snatches the flute and uses it. And Patrick quickly organizing the students for engagement as a multitude of fish emerged from the water. Yumi admitted to herself that she tends to get too excited when it comes to leveling, and she felt like she was being rude to him. Patrick then led the students, emphasizing the importance of maintaining formation and assuring them of victory. Yumi then noticed that all this time Patrick was using wind magic to enhance his voice, admiring his strategic brilliance in group combat. After defeating the monsters, the situation calmed down, and everyone flocked to Patrick praising his great leadership. While Yumi, on the other hand, was left all alone. The scene then transitions to the academy where Yumi returns without speaking to Patrick. She had already assumed that Patrick was disappointed in her, and to her surprise she felt quite sad thinking about it. She decided that she'll treat it as a return to her initial state at the beginning of the school year where she had no friends. Suddenly, Alicia approached Yumi and apologized for assuming she was the Demon Lord. Yumi understood Alicia's fear but appreciated her genuine apology. Out of the blue, Prince Edwin approached and confronted Yumi about the field lesson incident, questioning her intentions and threatening her for expulsion for putting the students at risk again. Suddenly Patrick intervened, explaining that Yumi's methods, while unpopular among central nobles, were effective in raising the students' levels and did not violate any laws. Hearing this, Edwin reluctantly backed off, and Patrick assured Yumi that Edwin's words must have been tough for her. Yumi thanked Patrick sincerely, while noticing his frustration. And Patrick expressed his concern for her well-being, but Yumi reassured him, mentioning her past depression but assuring him she was fine. Patrick then suggested they return to the classroom, and as they left, Yumi pondered the possibility of being friends with him, but hesitated to ask such a significant favor. As the summer break arrives, students eagerly head home to their families, while a few like Patrick and Yumi choose to stay back at school. They observe our peers engaging in sword training, with Yumi displaying impressive strength as she accidentally sends Patrick flying with a powerful blow. Apologizing for her unintentional force, she quickly heals him with her abilities, and Yumi promises to work on controlling her strength better, as she presents him with a magic tool designed for practicing without breaking under level 60 force. However, she accidentally shatters it, revealing her struggle to fully suppress her powers. Later, in the empty classroom during afternoon study sessions, Yumi is lost in thought until two girls approach her seeking advice. Delighted by their approach, Yumi feels a sense of inclusion, but Patrick's unexpected presence surprises the girls. Intrigued by Yumi's level 99 status, the girls wonder how she could assist them to level up. Yumi reassures them of her willingness to help them level up, but Patrick cautions her about her intimidating approach, advising her to be more socially aware and considerate. As Yumi contemplates Patrick's advice, she overhears students talking about her and Patrick, suggesting they share a sibling-like bond. Listening intently, she glances at Patrick, questioning the depth of their relationship. Transitioning to the library, Yumi reflects on Patrick's leadership qualities and her own summoning abilities. Inspired, she decides to study military tactics to become a leader like Patrick. While observing Alicia, she realizes Alicia's interest in acquiring superhuman abilities like hers. Agreeing to teach Alicia, Yumi embraces the opportunity to share her knowledge. As Alicia ponders deeply, Yumi simplifies her explanation of her abilities, ensuring it's understandable to others. She describes the process of summoning power from the stars, leaving Alicia thrilled and thankful before she departs. Finding herself alone, Patrick approaches her, offering a box of delicious pastries given to him by the queen. Yumi suggests they enjoy them together at her place with some tea, but Patrick suggests they stay in the academy's cafeteria instead. They indulge in the pastries, finding them incredibly tasty, while Yumi's friend observes them chatting together. As summer break ends, the martial arts tournament season begins, featuring both sword fighting and magic sections. Yumi, initially hesitant to participate, eventually decides to join after learning about the rewards. She resolves to compete in both sections to legitimately earn the prizes. On the day of the competition, everyone gathers in the academy courtyard, including Yumi and Patrick. Patrick informs her about the necklace prize, leading Yumi to realize she was tricked into participating to impress the nobles. She questions Patrick about the nobles' interest in the event compared to other spectacles. As the competition begins, Yumi rushes to the arena, determined to win. Matches are decided by a draw, and Yumi finds herself facing William in the first round. William expresses his determination to surpass Captain Adolf and achieve his dream, much to Yumi's pity. Yumi emerges victorious as her opponent withdraws, leading to several withdrawals without any actual fighting. The final round pits Yumi against William, promising an intense showdown. Yumi prepares herself mentally for the challenging battle ahead. Yumi is elated with the prospect of winning the entire competition, confident in the mistakes of her opponents. However, her confidence is challenged when William brandishes his weapon, a mighty great sword. Yumi recognizes the significance of this sword, typically obtained near the end of the game, and suspects William has secret connections to acquire it. As the final round begins, William charges at Yumi, wielding his powerful sword. Yumi skillfully dodges his strikes, frustrating William with her constant evasion. Determined to make the final round exciting, Yumi decides to engage in more suspenseful maneuvers, drawing inspiration from her training with Patrick. However, William manages to strike Yumi's sword, creating small cracks in it. Worried that her sword might break and lead to her elimination, Yumi decides to unleash her strength and shatter William's sword with a special punch technique, securing her victory. Reflecting on her unexpected feat, Yumi is relieved that no one noticed her hand moving on its own. However, a Captain Adolf remarks on her incredible feat of breaking a great sword with her bare hands, drawing attention to her remarkable strength. As Yumi prepares for the magic section of the competition, a fellow competitor approaches her, acknowledging her impressive performance in the sword section but warning her about the challenges of the magic section. The competitor shares insights on the evaluation criteria for the magic section, emphasizing the importance of magic strength, type, and execution accuracy. Despite having a lower level, Oswald's proficiency in all 4 main elements gives him an advantage. He reveals his diligent approach to leveling up over the summer and acknowledges Yumi's true level, apologizing for any doubts. Yumi accepts his apology but remains focused on her goal of winning the competition. Meanwhile, Alicia, a first-year student, captivates the audience with her unique magic, guided by Yumi's earlier advice. Alicia's enchanting performance earns her high praise from the teacher, who attributes her success to her captivating gaze and the beauty of her enchantment. Yumi contemplates her chances of winning the competition, realizing that her unique abilities might give her an edge. Prince Edwin impresses the audience with his fiery whirlwind enchantment, scoring 90 points. Next, first-year student Oswald showcases his versatility by combining different types of magic, earning a perfect score of 100 points. He confidently tells Yumi that she can't surpass 100 points, but she remains determined to tie if she achieves the same score. As Yumi prepares to perform her enchantment, she notices Patrick standing at a distance, seeming distant despite knowing it's her turn. Despite her initial hesitation, Yumi decides to unleash her powerful black hole spell, which she hasn't used fully in a long time. The sudden whirlwind and rain caused by the spell frighten the audience, leading some to believe she's a demon king. Yumi realizes her mistake but is interrupted by the teacher, who orders her to stop. After the chaos subsides, Yumi expresses her desire to show another enchantment to earn more points. However, she's surprised to learn that she already has 300 points, 3 times the maximum score. The director congratulates her and presents her with the first-place necklace imbued with black magic, much to Yumi's delight. Later, Patrick congratulates Yumi on her victory but expresses surprise that she desires the necklace despite her formidable power. Yumi internally resolves to show him the extent of her dark magic strength with the necklace, but Patrick becomes worried and afraid, knowing she struggles to control her power. The next day, Yumi sat in the classroom, reflecting on the winter season and nearing the end of her first year at the academy. She noted the increased fear people had of her since the martial arts competition, leading to her isolation. Suddenly Patrick approached her, becoming the only one to get close to her, and they sat together. He asked about her well-being, but she was lost in her thoughts. Edwin interrupted, asking if she knew anything about Alicia's belongings' recent disappearance. Yumi denied any information, prompting Edwin to accuse her of lying and threatening to expose her. Patrick intervened angrily, demanding evidence from Edwin before making accusations. He quickly deflected, mentioning another suspect he wanted to investigate before leaving. Yumi reflected on the situation, acknowledging that she has never bullied Alicia before, but many disliked her for associating with the prince and his entourage. Later that day, Yumi caught a girl sneaking into the auditorium, reaching for 2 books. The girl panicked and lied about worrying for Alicia. Yumi reassured her that she wouldn't harm her, surprised by the girl's assumption. The girl recounted exactly what happened, admitting she hid Alicia's belongings for Eleanor. Yumi then informed Eleanor of the situation, expressing disbelief. Eleanor was shocked, realizing the gravity of her actions. But luckily Yumi intended to cover up the matter, surprising Eleanor even more. Eleanor admitted her feelings for Edwin and her desire to come between him and Alicia. But Yumi advised her not to worry, reassuring her that a commoner like Alicia couldn't marry into the royal family. Eleanor was overjoyed, believing herself to be the most suitable for Prince Edwin. She advised her not to get involved and to focus on her happiness with Edwin. Eleanor was thrilled by this prospect. A while later, Yumi sat with Patrick, who scolded her for not handing the culprit over for punishment. The girl reminded her of the in-game Yumi and told Patrick that everyone can make mistakes and she has learned from herself. She believes forgiveness, when possible, is the best course of action. She mentioned that reporting Eleanor would only make things worse for both of them. Yumi then talked about Alicia, describing her as a kind girl with light magic, unlike herself with dark magic, where nobody loves her. Finally, she turned to Patrick, saying that she dislikes trouble. This is why she prefers being isolated. This angered Patrick, who rose from his seat, trying to reassure her and promising never to abandon her. Yumi stood up and told Patrick that she must return to the dormitory, contemplating his words as she left. 4 days later, Eleanor approached Yumi, who had been following her since the bullying incident. Eleanor offered to have tea with her, but Yumi politely declined, claiming to be busy. Yumi was trying to avoid Eleanor, knowing she was the daughter of Duke Hilros, the leader of the opposition faction to the king. As Eleanor walked behind her, Yumi sharply told her to stop inviting her, but Eleanor persisted, offering gifts and sweets. Eleanor then offered Yumi some sweets she made. Yumi found them decent but suggested they needed more sugar. Eleanor was saddened by this, as she made them herself. Yumi sarcastically remarked on how disgusting they were, expecting Eleanor to get angry. However, Eleanor became very happy, admitting her failure and telling Yumi that she appreciated her honesty. Eleanor confessed that her friends always saw her as perfect and incapable of making mistakes, but Yumi was the only one who told her the truth. Yumi was surprised by Eleanor's response, realizing that maybe someone was manipulating her. She asked about the theft of Alicia's belongings, but Eleanor said that her friends instructed her to do so. Yumi was surprised and confused, wondering who could have prompted her to do it. She found herself liking Eleanor more in this moment, as Eleanor continued to express her struggles with perfection and the expectations of her friends. Yumi thought to herself that others were simply afraid of her, but she considered the possibility that someone might be manipulating Eleanor. Eleanor then expressed her desire to be an honest and strong friend to Yumi, seeking her sincere advice, especially regarding her relationship with Prince Edwin. She put her hand on Yumi's and held it, mentioning about Yumi's previous comment on her and Prince Edwin getting married. Yumi couldn't respond and felt overwhelmed by the situation. A few days later, Yumi was reading a book when Eleanor suddenly entered her private room. Yumi was surprised but didn't object, and the maid served tea. Yumi found the tea strange but learned from the maid that she couldn't refuse Duke Hilros's daughter. Later, Patrick talked to Yumi about Eleanor, suggesting she wasn't a bad person and encouraging Yumi to try getting closer to her. And Yumi said she would think about it. Later, Eleanor approached her asking about her attire for the upcoming party. Yumi expressed she didn't have a partner, and Eleanor mentioned Patrick, which surprised Yumi. She explained that she had no special connection to Patrick and didn't have a dress. Eleanor assured her she would lend her one of her dresses, and they went to Yumi's room. Yumi remained distant, not showing interest in selecting a dress. But the maid became angry and urged Yumi to take care of herself. As she searched for a dress, someone informed Rita about a parcel for the Dalkins. Rita went to collect the parcel, surprising the girls as it was from the Queen. Yumi mentioned that the Queen occasionally sent her sweets, but this parcel seemed larger than usual. After opening, it turned out to be a dress. At the party, everyone was impressed by Yumi's beauty. Yumi noticed Alicia with her friends, and Eleanor asked Yumi why she didn't ask Patrick to accompany her. Suddenly Patrick appears and is mesmerized by Yumi's beauty. Eleanor quickly left, saying that she didn't want to disturb them. Yumi thought of herself and Patrick as just acquaintances. She decided to join the party but felt somewhat embarrassed in her dress. She noticed Patrick didn't seem well and asked him what happened, but Patrick brushed it off. Patrick then asked if she was looking for someone. But suddenly William shouted, asking about Alicia and Edwin's whereabouts. Alicia and Edwin were on the balcony, where Edwin mentioned Will and Oswald must be looking for them. Alicia told Edwin that she found a place with amazing stars and wanted to show it to him. And Edwin expressed surprise, saying he had never imagined her to be so bold. Back at the party, Yumi informed Patrick that she was going to leave, but Patrick held her hand and asked her to wait. Surprised, Yumi agreed to dance with him. They started dancing smoothly, and Yumi found it enjoyable. Everyone watched them, but Yumi's remarks on her dress saying that it was the reason everyone watched them. But Patrick then told Yumi that everyone was watching them because she looked extremely beautiful. Yumi was astonished but reminded herself not to feel happy or sad. And she felt that her hands were sweating and was scared of holding his hands. Patrick told her she was naive, and Yumi apologized for her sweaty hands, suggesting that they should dance together in the next song. Suddenly, a boy appeared behind Yumi and asked her to dance with him. Yumi approached him and told him that she only cared about people stronger than her. The boy quickly apologized and left, while also leaving Patrick in shambles. Before spring came, Patrick tried asking Yumi to visit his domain, but she interrupted, saying she had somewhere else in mind. Yumi said that they'd meet again in the new academic year, disappointing Patrick because he couldn't invite her for the holiday. The break then came and Patrick mentions training in the dungeons every day until spring came. He then sat on a rock and enjoyed the start of spring and the new year. In the academy hall before the opening ceremony, Patrick saw Yumi holding a strange black egg. He asked her about it, and she said it was her child, surprising him. Yumi then talked about Jessica's request to her before the spring break, asking for help to deal with the dragon in their domain. Remembering the in-game rewards, Yumi agreed to go with her to kill the dragon. In a carriage with Jessica, Yumi asked about the dragon's fire breath, which was confirmed by Jessica's father in the letter. At Jessica's house, Her father thanked Yumi and mentioned Jessica praising her to be as strong as a demon lord. In the forest with soldiers, a soldier questioned Yumi's authority, but she proved her skills by defeating the dragon with black hole magic. She then took down a different dragon, impressing the soldiers. She then approached the dragon's nest, and Yumi took out the dragon egg. Back to the present, Yumi teases Patrick for actually believing she laid eggs. They laughed about it and went to the garden, where Yumi revealed the egg was truly from a red dragon. Patrick asked if she planned to let it hatch, to which she was already planning on, explaining that she had obtained permission from the king and the supervisor for the process. Originally in the game, the dragon was hatched by Alicia and grown with the light attribute. The dragon would serve as their means of travel. Yumi admitted the event's reward tempted her with the free transportation, but she had grown attached to the egg, even considering it her daughter after nurturing it with care. While they conversed, Alicia stumbled upon them, terrified by the sight of Yumi with the egg and quickly fleeing. Patrick was amazed by Yumi's wild and unconventional ways, and he marvels at the beauty of the dragon to be. Suddenly the egg trembled, signaling its impending hatching, and they hurried home to prepare for its hatching. In Yumi's room, they awaited the hatching together, marveling as the egg cracked open to reveal the dragon's hand. Yumi embraced the dragon as it emerged, but Patrick found it quite terrifying. Yumi named the baby dragon Ryu, and they bonded as Yumi affectionately welcomed him into her life, despite the terror from the maid and Patrick. As night fell, Ryu slept with Yumi, and they drifted off together. The next morning, the alarmed maid, Rita, discovered the dragon had grown significantly overnight, presenting a new challenge of how to remove them from the room. Yumi attempts to persuade Ryu out of the window, and congratulates him when he succeeds. She then plans to find a nearby place for him to live. But upon entering the school grounds, the girls scream in fear at the sight of the dragon, prompting other students to run at the sight of Ryu's enormous size. Yumi, puzzled by the commotion, learns from Patrick that everyone is terrified by Ryu. But she reassures them of Ryu's charm and invites them to play with him. Chaos then ensues as Ryu chases after the girls, causing mass panic. Yumi then accepts that not everyone likes animals, and she asks Patrick whether he likes Ryu. Patrick admires Ryu's intelligence but considers it dangerous for him to interact with ordinary people. Ryu then approaches Patrick to play, but Patrick, fearful, pleads to be left alone. Yumi tries to reassure him, but Patrick wasn't convinced at all. Edwin suddenly arrives and expresses concern over the dragon, demanding Yumi to get rid of him. Before he can finish, Ryu playfully chomps him, causing Yumi to intervene and caution Ryu about playing with random people. Alicia then advises Edwin to calm down, while Yumi speculates that he probably doesn't like animals either. Not long after, Eleonora approaches and is fascinated by Ryu, touching him and admiring his cuteness. Ryu playfully interacts with her, making her happy as she becomes the only noble girl to be bitten by a dragon. They then found a place to house Ryu, which was a storage room on the school grounds. After this incident, more and more people are terrified of Yumi, quickly fleeing when she's in sight. Yumi then confesses to Patrick about her uncertain feelings, suggesting that their desires might align. Patrick is surprised by her revelation, as he thought she was going to express love. But Yumi suddenly revealed her true feelings, where she wishes to ride with Ryu, disappointing Patrick as he thought she was about to confess. Their attention then turned to the dragon, now larger than before, where Patrick noticed a ring on its claw placed by Yumi to signify its belonging to the kingdom. Yumi, despite her fear of falling, assured Patrick that she would be cautious during flight. She mounts the dragon, and they soared above the city, causing fear to the people below. As Ryu performed acrobatics, Yumi fell from his back, prompting Ryu to attempt to catch her. However, Yumi urged him to continue alone to avoid potential harm to the city. Unable to use wind magic to alter her descent, Yumi aimed to land at Ryu's house, penetrating the earth and descending deep into the ground. Concerned for her safety, Patrick quickly descended into the pit to rescue her, insisting on taking her to the nurse's office. But Yumi reassures him that she could walk by herself, appreciating his concern. Turns out she was not damaged by the fall at all. That afternoon, Yumi ventured into town to buy supplies for Ryu, including a saddle, food bowl, and educational toys. Suddenly, a stranger claiming to be a spy from the kingdom of Realist approached her, requesting a private conversation without awaiting her response. The spy from the neighboring kingdom of Remlius meets Yumi, introducing himself as Linus. He suggests they discuss matters later over a meal, but Yumi explains her time constraints due to the curfew. Linus begins to enlighten Yumi about Remlius, revealing its proximity to Valshine, where Patrick's family resides, and its hostile relations with Yumi's kingdom. Curious, Yumi questions his intentions, prompting Linus to admit he's aware of her desire to flee and hopes she'll consider settling in Remlius. Concerned about the consequences, Yumi questions the terms of their proposal. And Linus discloses their plan to enlist her as a civilian soldier, causing Yumi to realize the potential danger to Patrick's domain in case of conflict. Rejecting Linus's proposal, she asserts her allegiance to her kingdom and opposition to aggression. As soldiers approach, Yumi urges Linus to depart discreetly, suspecting surveillance. Grateful for her assistance, Linus departs through the back window. Contemplating Linus's words on her way to the academy, Yumi resolves to protect her kingdom against potential threats, including the Demon Lord. She finally found a reason in Patrick, expressing her newfound desire to stand by him. Yumi admires Patrick's kindness and strength, and wonders how he balances both traits. She addresses the status of their relationship, and Patrick reassures her of his genuine friendship, emphasizing his support regardless of her strength level. Moved by Patrick's loyalty, Yumi blushes and expresses her gratitude. After reviewing their academic results, Yumi commends Patrick on achieving the top position in their class. Just as they relish the moment, Eleonora interrupts, seeking Yumi's assistance for her makeup exam preparation. Reluctant at first, Yumi suggests Eleonora seek help from their high-achieving friends. However, upon Eleonora's insistence, Yumi agrees to lend a hand. She then quickly realizes Eleonora's struggle with conventional studying methods, and Yumi devises a new approach. Recognizing Eleonora's keen interest in Prince Edwin's family history, Yumi intertwines it with the study of previous kingdoms. And Eleonora embraces the idea and eventually succeeds in her studies. Grateful, she offers Yumi a necklace as a token of appreciation, which Yumi gladly accepts. Later, Yumi invites Patrick to join her for a flying lesson with Ryu, but Patrick declines, due to him having some plans. Intrigued by Patrick's mysterious outings, Yumi questions him, but he evades the topic and departs hastily. Unbeknownst to Yumi, Patrick ventures to a nearby dungeon to battle goblins, driven by his determination to match Yumi's strength. After he arrived home, Yumi unexpectedly confronts Patrick about his whereabouts, suspecting him of having a girlfriend. And Patrick clears the air, explaining that he doesn't even have a girlfriend. Before he can elaborate further, Ryu signals Yumi to depart, cutting their conversation short. As Yumi flies away, Prince Edwin arrives, remarking on Yumi's peculiar behavior and enlisting Patrick's assistance in an undisclosed matter. The next day, following Patrick's instruction, Yumi heads to Prince Edwin's room where he humbly apologizes for his past rudeness, admitting his biased belief that she was the Demon Lord. Yumi reflects to herself, considering Prince Edwin and his friends as still mentally immature, driven by vanity and pride. However, she listens as Prince Edwin explains his change of heart, attributing it to Patrick's insights about Yumi's character and her dedication to leveling up. Edwin is seeking Yumi's forgiveness, which she bashfully grants. Although curious about Patrick's portrayal of her, Yumi grows furious upon learning of his praise, saying that she's a carefree nahead who does anything she wants to do. Principal Ronald then summons Yumi to discuss Prince Edwin's group's progress in dungeon raids, highlighting Alicia's struggle to level up due to interference from her peers. Concerned for Alicia's development and the potential consequences for their mission against the Demon Lord, Yumi offers her assistance. However, Alicia recoils at the prospect of dungeon exploration with Yumi, refusing her help. Days later, Yumi discovers Alicia's absence from the academy, prompting worry among the students. Patrick informs her of Alicia's disappearance, and Prince Edwin's group arrives seeking information. Yumi denies knowledge of Alicia's whereabouts, prompting the group to search for her. Suspecting foul play, the group fears Alicia's abduction. The scene then shifts to Alicia seemingly being hypnotized and led into the forest. While flying on Ryu, Yumi spots Alicia and approaches, calling out to her. This made Alicia snap out of her daze, only to be confronted by a scary shadow. Initially, Alicia was frightened, but she soon recognizes Yumi and grows confused about her surroundings. Yumi explains her concern, and Alicia mentions her tendency to lose control of her body, recounting incidents like her recruitment into the Royal Academy and her actions during the contest. Alicia, feeling lost, worries she might be under external influence. But after hearing Yumi's words, it calmed her down a little bit. Yumi then realizes that this is the game's storyline manipulation, but she refrains from disclosing the truth to Alicia, attributing her actions to stress. Comforted by Yumi's reassurance, Alicia decides to return to the academy. However, Yumi suggests they visit the dungeon nearby for Alicia to level up, offering an amulet of protection. Despite Alicia's initial reluctance, they attempt to enter the dungeon, only to be stopped by guards citing academy regulations. Yumi intervenes with Ryu's assistance, prompting the guards to retreat in fear, which allowed Yumi and Alicia to enter the dungeon. Inside the dungeon, Alicia encounters monsters, which causes her to panic and unleash her magic in self-defense. Yumi then takes charge, drawing on her experience of completing the dungeon multiple times in the game. She guides Alicia through the maze of creatures, explaining the dungeon's mechanics and the escalating challenges with each level. Despite Alicia's initial struggles, Yumi encourages her, intervening only when necessary to ensure her safety. Not long after, Alicia gains new skills, and Yumi explains that Alicia will gain similar abilities as she levels up. Their journey takes a turn when Alicia triggers a trap, tumbling into the path of a monstrous creature. In a swift display of her new magic, Alicia dispatches the threat, but she sustains injuries in the process. Yumi rushes to her aid, offering healing through dark magic, which Alicia initially rejects. But despite her protests, Yumi heals her, causing Alicia to react with surprise and gratitude. Upon reaching the dungeon's final floor, Alicia faces the formidable boss. But despite her efforts, her spells prove ineffective. Yumi then steps in and delivers a decisive blow to the boss, saving Alicia from imminent danger. As Alicia regains consciousness, Yumi explains the temporary protection offered by the amulet, urging her to replace it. After opening the treasure chest, they discover a cache of protection amulets, which Yumi insists Alicia keep. But Yumi reassures Alicia that their adventure isn't over yet. Yumi then tells her to prepare herself to grind the dungeon until she's able to defeat the boss by herself. As Alicia continues to progress, Yumi notices her leveling up faster than expected, suspecting the game's intervention. Despite the accelerated growth, Alicia still struggles against the final boss, prompting Yumi to step in once again. After multiple attempts, they uncover valuable treasures from the chest, including a dark sword, which Yumi decides to keep. As Alicia persists in her efforts, they acquire a wind spear, which Yumi plans to give to Patrick. And after numerous attempts, Alicia finally triumphs over the boss, obtaining a light sword from the final chest. However, when Yumi attempts to touch the light sword, she finds herself unable to due to its reaction to her dark magic. They then return to the surface, where Yumi declares their success, asking Alicia if she enjoyed herself. Sensing they still have time, Yumi proposes visiting the Demon Lord's location, claiming her level 99 instincts revealed its whereabouts. They mount Rhea to travel there, but Alicia panics. But a sudden rainstorm hampers their progress and they are forced to return to the academy. Upon their return to the academy, Yumi announces Alicia's safety, much to everyone's relief. And Yumi gifts Patrick the wind spear and offers Alicia the magic stones, which William struggles to carry due to their weight. As Alicia practices her spells the next day, showcasing her newfound strength, the boys realize they need to work harder to keep up with her. Seeing this, Yumi plans on taking Alicia to a higher level dungeon, acknowledging her growth potential. Observing Alicia's determination to improve, Patrick realizes the need for his own advancement, pondering her feelings for Yumi. Yumi strolls around the campus when a man approaches her, requesting her help with an experiment. He leads her to a classroom, presenting his new invention designed to seal magic. Following his instructions, Yumi unleashes her full magical power, but the device remains intact. The man then reveals his true intentions, summoning his companions to kill her while her magic is supposedly sealed. However, Yumi effortlessly breaks the shackles, revealing her level 99 physical strength. The would-be assassins panic, claiming it was just a prank, but Yumi doesn't believe them, and they are promptly arrested. The principal warns her to stay vigilant, suspecting a spy within the academy. That evening, an assassin attempts to kill Yumi in her sleep, but his knife shatters against her skin. Unfazed, she asks what he's doing, causing him to flee in terror. The next day, Yumi informs Patrick about the assassination attempts, advising him to distance himself to avoid trouble. Suddenly, she senses incoming arrows and stops them effortlessly. She apprehends the assassin, expressing her anger that the arrows could have hit Patrick. Later, Yumi walks around town in disguise and notices children playing, with a boy watching from a distance. Approaching him, she learns he fears joining them because of his dark hair, which makes him feel ostracized. Yumi reveals her own dark hair, sharing how she was initially avoided but eventually accepted. Encouraged, the boy considers reaching out. Their conversation is interrupted by a group of thugs who recognize Yumi. She warns the children to be careful and subdues the men with her magic. The children, impressed by her power, watch in awe. Interrogating the leader, Yumi asks who hired them, but he claims ignorance, stating their client concealed his face. Yumi returns home and tells Rita about the recent events, mentioning that she handed the assassins over to the authorities. She then notices an odd taste in her tea and asks Rita to taste it. Panic-stricken, Rita confesses, begging for forgiveness. She reveals that she poisoned Yumi's drink because her sister was taken hostage. Yumi asks about the poison, and Rita explains it's an extremely deadly substance, lethal with a single drop, yet even 5 drops in Yumi's drink couldn't harm her. Rita admits she's been aiding the assassins under Yumi's father's orders. Yumi inquires about Rita's sister, discovering she works at Yumi's father's mansion. That evening, Yumi and Rita fly to the mansion, where they find Rita's sister, Sarah, who seems unaware of the situation. Sarah is surprised to see Yumi, who explains she's being held hostage. Fearing execution, Rita begs Yumi to spare Sarah. Yumi forgives them, understanding Rita's motive to save her sister. Grateful, Rita pledges her loyalty to Yumi. Yumi instructs Rita and Sarah to wait, while she confronts her parents. At the dining table, her parents fail to recognize her until she declares herself their daughter. Surprised, they admit they hired the assassins, believing she betrayed them by collaborating with the king to eliminate the anti-king faction. They feel ashamed of her, thinking her death is preferable to handing her over to their enemy. Yumi tries to explain the misunderstanding to her parents, but they refuse to believe her, convinced she's trying to gain power through war. When she tells them to return to their domain, they reveal they don't want to stay there because they find life in the country boring and don't want her as a child. Realizing they are hopeless, Yumi demands her father yield his title to her, reminding him she is his only heir and will become countess after his death. Her father perceives this as a threat and tries to call the guards, but Yumi informs him they cannot stop her. She summons a black hole, threatening to kill her parents if they don't comply. Her mother faints, and her father begs for mercy, agreeing to give her his title. The next day, Yumi reports this to the king, who asks why she decided to take over her family's domain. She explains that she wants to hold a position of power to eliminate the discrimination against people with dark hair. The king acknowledges it won't be easy but admires her determination to succeed. Later that day, Yumi talks to Patrick, relieved that the assassins have stopped attacking her. She confesses that she doesn't have what it takes to kill people and is glad she spared the assassins, fearing she had lost her heart. Patrick reassures her, saying she's a great person and is impressed by her resolve to become a countess. Yumi reveals that she was inspired by the boy she met, realizing she needs to change society to make it better for people with dark hair. Patrick agrees to help her. Yumi then tells him she needs someone by her side to have a successor, making him flustered as he thinks she's going to ask him to marry her. Instead, she surprises him by asking if she can adopt him as her son. Patrick instantly refuses Yumi's offer to adopt him, leaving her confused and unhappy. She promises to be a good parent, but he still declines, making her wonder why he doesn't want to be part of her family. Sometime later, the kingdom celebrates its foundation day, but the mood turns serious when the king announces the imminent return of the Demon Lord. He assures everyone that preparations have been made and appoints Adel as the supreme commander of the royal army. He adds that Edwin will lead an elite unit to defeat the Demon Lord. After the event, Yumi reflects on her goals, and Patrick joins her, revealing he saw her from his window. Impressed by his vision, she learns it's due to his training and discovers he's already at level 60, making him as powerful as Adel. He explains he's been training in the dungeon during his free time, using the Amulet of Growth to level up faster. Concerned for his safety, she urges him to stop, knowing it's dangerous to explore dungeons without the Amulet of Protection. She reveals she doesn't want to lose him, and he admits he feels the same way when she does something reckless. They promise to be more careful. Curious about his dedication, she asks why he works so hard to level up. He reveals he wants to surpass her because she once said she only likes men stronger than her. She explains she never meant it, only saying it at the party to avoid dancing with other boys. He tells her he wants to be strong enough to stay by her side. They play rock, paper, scissors, and although she wins, Patrick, unable to see in the dark, asks if he lost. She tells him he won, confessing she likes him because he's better than her, and they kiss as the celebration reaches its climax. Soon after, the Demon Lord arrives with his army. The high-level students are chosen to join the royal army, while Yumi leads Edwin's unit to the Demon Lord's stronghold.